Hey everyone, welcome to Taking the Pulse, a healthcare and life sciences video podcast. I am Heather Hoops Matthews, here today with Maynard Nexon healthcare attorney Lauren DeMoss. Lauren, good to be with you.
Great to be here, Heather.
We are coming to you live from NC LifeSci. That is North Carolina's life sciences annual meeting in the RTP around Raleigh. It's one of the premier life sciences events in the Southeast, and we are just delighted to have with us today Dr. Jan-Willem van Klinken. He is a medical leader with deep expertise in nutrition sciences, clinical development, and medical affairs, spanning the world's largest multinational pharma and fast-moving consumer goods corporations. Dr. Van Klinken currently brings his wealth of experience to Brightseed Bio as their Senior Vice President of Medical, Scientific, and Regulatory Affairs. Dr. Van Klinken, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. It's great.
You have a long history in advancements in nutrition sciences, working as medical director and R&D for nutrition at companies, really at giants in America and globally, including like GSK, Pfizer, etc. Tell us what drew you to this type of research that we've been focusing on now with Brightseed Bio.
Well, it's a long-during interest for me, more as a scientist, also being interested in health, advancing health for people, bringing health solutions to people. I became really interested in nutrition during my pediatrics clinical training when I saw the effects nutrition on that can have on people. Right? You think about inborn errors of metabolism. Some children have certain diseases where they need missing certain nutrients, or they can difficult acquiring them, and I really saw the power of nutrition, and also what nutrition can do, and also learned over the time. Many of our drugs. Currently, about 2/3 of the drugs registered by FDA found their origin in nature, right? In plants. So either they're analogs or they're still actively being used as those components. So, nutrition, bioactives, and bioactives you can find in plants for a very large part. They have those health benefits, and they can bring unique health benefits to people. So it's actually a very logical process, and actually going back to what nature can offer us is a very powerful way to look what kind of solutions we might be finding and what the future holds.
Yes.
So Brightseed Bio focuses on advances in technology that are based on, as you said, natural health solutions. Can you tell us a little bit more about the company and some of the advances you've seen as it relates to patient health needs?
Yeah, so the company was founded in 2017. We have about 75 employees. We use artificial intelligence and laboratory techniques to identify bioactives in plants and bacteria and microbiome. And we use those to link those to potential health benefits. So we now currently have a database of about 7 million plant compounds, most unknown to mankind. So we source plants from all kinds of areas of the world, mostly also commercial foods, commercial plants. And then we use our artificial intelligence tool and our laboratory systems. We have a whole team based in San Francisco lab to do that, and we have a lab here in North Carolina. We then have a database also of health benefits, which consists of receptors, enzymes, systems, and we link those to each other. In that way, we have now identified about more than 30,000 bioactives, predicted bioactives. So each of these can confer a health benefit to people. And they go then into foods, in medical foods, in supplements, as the primary target. That's our business model. But in this way, and we continue finding more and more bioactives as we speak. So with these artificial tool, with these machine learning models, we have significantly improved our knowledge, and also the possibilities for new ways of helping people in their health, right? And also, what we do is primarily we work. We market the bioactive ingredients ourselves in a business to business situation, but also we have a lot of partnerships with major companies where we help them to improve their products, identify beneficial components in their supply chain, how they can improve processes to get more bioactives. But also, we out-license certain components to pharmaceutical companies as another opportunity, which, some opportunities may not go into a food, but then we say, hey, this might be also a possibility. So, we have those three ways of doing things. We launched our first product 2022, now 1.5 years ago, which was actually a fiber with bioactives. So, what we do, we use our AI tool. We look for certain bioactives that can act on a certain target. In this way, it was a metabolic receptor. And then we look across the food chain, and we find, in this case, about 80 plants, and we focus on those that we think is the most viable model. And generally, you find those in waste streams of the food chain. You'll see that most people, they appreciate certain parts of the foods that are lower in bioactives and lower in those healthful components. So we look in waste streams, and this way we've identified 2 bioactives, NCT, NFT, in hemp hulls, which is a discarded product. So this is a very interesting proposal. Usually it's burned off or given to animals as feed, but now you find all these healthful components in there. And so the food chain is full of that. About 30% of food, 40% of food is wasted every day across the world. And many of the wastes is what we don't want to eat, or it doesn't taste nice, but where we find a lot of these healthful components in. So the opportunities are massive. With this technology, as we go forward.
The process you're describing is so different to me than what I've been accustomed to, talking about on this podcast. How is it different than the process you would go through for approval, different from traditional pharma R&D?
Yes, so there are a number of differences. First, our sources are plants and also fungi, bacteria, where we identify bioactives. In contrast to, if you look at pharma, largely they're synthetic components which are made, right? It's interesting also to note that natural components you would consider them less alien to the body. So there's a higher chance, I think, as just to hit the target that you're looking for. We're faster to market because generally we take something out of a food component which is already consumed or known to some history of use. And we use artificial intelligence to speed up. So we have machine learning tools that know what to look for in certain compounds to say this might fit in a certain receptor or a certain system. So you speed up and you learn through these machine learning tools to quickly identify when you use these laboratory techniques like a mass spectrometer, which we have 2 large mass spectrometers, state of the art, which identify all these components. And then with these machine learning tools, you can then pinpoint quickly on what's the likely chance to have an effect. And then we go into testing systems, whereas the traditional pharma is a lot about high throughput screening, a lot of molecules being screened on one single receptor. And we use these intelligent systems of foods and plants and components that are already in nature. So that are the major differences.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah, it is. So for the benefit of our listeners, can you kind of tell us what bioactives are and maybe give an example or two just to, you obviously mentioned them throughout, but I think it'll help folks to kind of conceptualize what a bioactive is.
Yeah. Well, bioactives, actually all it is biologically active molecule or compound in a plant, right? You can also find them in like fungi and bacteria. So plants have many bioactives, and generally they serve a purpose to protect the plant from the hostile exterior for all kind of things, from UV or for other kind of exposures from parasites and everything. So plants naturally have these bioactives, and they may have different benefits. Each of these bioactives. So examples, there are many examples. There is, for instance, aspirin, we all know, right? Mm-hmm. It's directly from nature, and it comes from the willow bark. And so that's one example. I already mentioned Taxol, which is also from a tree, which is a chemotherapeuticum. There are apicatechin gets a lot of news lately. That is what we call also a bioactives, but then it has a polyphenolic compound structure, and that helps reduce blood pressure. There are phytosterols. Many people are not so aware of anymore, but these are compounds, plant lipid-reducing compounds. So extensive studies have shown if you take enough of these plant sterols from plants, these bioactives, you reduce your LDL in your blood by 7%. So this has been marketed very effectively in Europe in margarines. It was for a short time, it was in the US on the market, by 7%. So a statin does 30%. So in the ideal situation, I always hope that more and more physicians, I was trained as a physician, I was trained as a nutritionist, I've worked in the industry, but that more and more physicians start using natural approaches to complement therapies or get rid of therapies. Mm-hmm. There's a lot more publications recently on public health strategies, for instance, around diabetes. Mm-hmm. Many people get off their diabetes drugs for diabetes type 2 by following a specific diet. Mm-hmm. And this is also where bioactives help. There are many bioactive components that have an influence on managing blood glucose. So this comes back, and I'm just talking on, but this comes back to the basic problem of our diet. Mm-hmm. Our diet has evolved to take out the healthy things, the bioactives, the components, and has focused on delivering more calories. In the US, there is a big motion in place also with public health and with government on food as medicine. And this is Tufts is leading the initiative from the academic side. But that's basically what you're doing, is you're bringing back into the diet elements and nutrition that people are not consuming anymore. Because the basic problem of many of our chronic diseases, especially, lies in the diet. And then, when somebody gets sick, we treat them with expensive medication, right? So that's what I hope we can change that, and that comes back also to my motivation to be in this space, to say how can I help there also as an interface between business and science, and also with these, and that's why I joined this company, because we have, we're in the forefront of those innovations.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I hope your vision comes to fruition, because I fight the urge to shop in the middle of the grocery store. I try to stay on the outside, so I can see where you're going. One last question for you. You've talked about going back to plants, in nature, but you've also used AI multiple times in our conversation today. I mean, I am interested in how maybe all you use AI, how you might see it in the future, that you would use it more in the development of what you're doing? Yeah,
absolutely. And I think it is, it's still a fuzzy area for many people,
right.
But what I see happening is that for patients' health, for consumer health, the consumer is our patient, patients are consumers, everybody in some way, integrating all the health data that is produced by an individual. You have microbiome, you have genes, you have dietary intakes like bioactives, and all that together you come to an personalized precision N is one approach. And this is where the pharma is also more focusing on, because you can see some drugs don't work in people and they work in others. people don't understand.
Right.
Later studies have shown that microbiome, all the bacteria we have in our gut,
Right.
play a very important role in responding to treatments. So what about AI? You have these enormous data clouds of microbiome, nutrition, diet, lifestyle, genes, and you integrate everything for personalized approaches. And I think that's where we're going to in the future. So we really need these technologies in integrating. And yeah, we're doing this now on the bioactive side with our enormous database and opportunities. But how can, and we're working also on the microbiome, integrating data from that. Bioactives work on the microbiome, produce other components that are active, more active than the original compound. So bringing that all together with the individual, personalized data, everybody's unique, right? There is no, so bring that really to the individual. Then I think that's where the future lies.
Well, that would be a wonderful future, because
Yes.
then we wouldn't have to trial and error so many things. Dr. Jan-Willem van Klinken, thank you so much for joining us today. Brightseed Bio here at NC LifeSci. We look forward to the future of your company and your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you very
thank
much
you.
for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.